Hey, what's up, everybody? TJ and Carrie here with Muscle Growth Mindset. We've got an exciting one today. We're going to talk about steroids.
All right.
The taboo subject in bodybuilding and powerlifting and all the performance sports. Now, steroids gets a really bad rap, right? You think steroids, you think bad, but there's different types of steroids.
Absolutely. So let's get into some science real quick. Steroids are actually they're classified as 4 carbon rings, 3 6 carbon, 1 5 carbon, with do a variety of different things. Cholesterol structurally looks the same because cholesterol makes steroids, and they do the corticosteroids. They deal with inflammation. So if somebody, you get a cold or you have a shoulder injury and they're going to give you some corticosteroids for it, you're not going to grow muscle. You might have the mistaken belief that's not true.
Yeah, there's corticosteroids and there's anabolic steroids. You know, and then the corticosteroids, that's what you're going to get when you're sick and you go to the doctor. You get some steroid injection.
Yep.
Yeah, that may help you get well from being sick. It's going to help with the inflammation, but yeah, you don't need to run to the gym and think you're going to put on muscle.
No. Estrogen is also a steroid, but we are going to talk about primarily anabolic steroids, since we are muscle growth mindset and anabolic
I'm sure
steroids.
That's what everybody wants to hear about, right? Nobody cares about the other stuff.
No.
Now there's testosterone. It's probably the most commonly known steroid. And yes, testosterone is a steroid. I think, Kerry has experience with this. He has a friend. It's a funny story.
We were talking about steroids, and I'm like, "You take steroids?" He's like, "No, I take testosterone, Carrie." I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this.
Yeah, testosterone is a steroid. Yeah. But it's, testosterone being too low can be bad for you.
Yes.
Right?
So before we get into, there are some negatives in steroids. We're not going to talk a whole lot about that today. There are definitely some negatives for low testosterone. The mortality rate for a man increases exponentially for very low testosterone. Like, you will die faster if you don't have enough testosterone. Yeah. Women can survive with a lot lower. They're intended to have lower amounts of testosterone.
Yeah, so you need testosterone. Your body needs to function normally and properly. You need your testosterone levels at a normal level. And, that's why you can go to the doctor and you get a prescription for testosterone and keep your levels at a normal dose. It's called HRT, hormone replacement therapy, or TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. And it's just keeping yourself at normal levels, and there's no harm in that.
No.
You're not going to get the negative side effects, which we'll get into when we start talking about, mega dosing and taking, what a lot of people in our industry take to build muscle.
Yeah. It's bioidentical, which means it's structurally almost the exact same as the kind that our body makes. They modify in different ways, and the different varieties out there are modified further. Yeah. So
it's a synthetic steroid, testosterone. It's a synthetic testosterone, but it mimics and it's very close to what's actually made in your body. And you can get injections for testosterone. You can get pellets that they put in. There's creams you can even put on. There's different things for HRT. But we're going to move past that and get to, the good stuff here. Steroids to perform and to grow. That's what we want, right? That's why in this industry people take steroids. They want to get bigger. They want to build muscles. They take anabolic, which means to build steroids. Okay, and we talked about it, you have to take, we talked about this in our testosterone video, you have to take a certain amount to get your levels above normal in the high range to start getting those muscle building effects.
And I will say, in the science industry, there's not a whole lot of research done on these amounts and they generally don't speak of testosterone as muscle growing or steroids, because they don't dose in the amount that bodybuilders do. So we have the scientific data, and then we have what we'll call lab data from bodybuilders who have done this experiment over and over through time. And that's what we're going to rely on this video.
Yeah, it's just taboo for scientists to do human studies on high doses of steroids. There's nobody's had the balls to do it yet.
Generally, it's called biohacking, and a lot of scientists frown on it. But there are people in the industry that take other supplements that have lower effects on the body to see that bodybuilders have been biohacking for a long time.
And you can get your blood work done and kind of see where your testosterone is at, and you get it in that normal range, 400 to 800, you're feeling good, you're operating normal. But if you really want to see some effects, you're going to need those levels at least 1200 or more to start really building muscle at a faster rate. I mean, of course, you can build that muscle at a level of 400, but we're wanting to speed that process up. So,
I will say some of the very few studies they've done early on when they found testosterone were that the guy in his gym working his butt off and a guy sitting at a desk taking over 1200 nanograms per deciliter testosterone, the guy at the desk will grow more muscle than the guy working his butt off in the gym, doing nothing.
Yeah.
If you're in the gym working your butt off, gains are massive, huge.
So there it is. It is a fact. Taking steroids, you will build muscle. You will
huge
build
amounts.
Muscle fast. Okay? We're not saying that to condone it, to encourage it, but it's just a fact. Like taking steroids anabolic steroids,
100%.
You will build muscle faster than natural, hands down. If you want to compete in a non-tested bodybuilding show as a natural athlete, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. The guys taking steroids are going to be at a way bigger advantage. They're going to put on a lot more muscle at a lot faster rate. So it's just something, if you want to be in this industry, you have to deal with it. Sorry. Is it fair? No. But
yeah,
sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a natural lifter. I've read some about steroids, and I've been around a lot of bodybuilders, so I know some things. But I'm going to interview TJ because I don't know it nearly as much, and we're going to get some of his wisdom today.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for a long time. I've taken steroids. I have clients who've taken steroids. I'm not an expert by any means. I don't want to claim to be, but I have experience and I know a little bit. The first one we want to talk about, of course, is testosterone.
Yeah.
This is the bread and butter, right? If you're going to take anything, if you haven't crossed that road yet, this is the place to start. Take testosterone. Okay?
Right. The most fundamental one.
There's a couple of different kinds. There's different esters, which is basically how long they're active, their half-life. So what you get from the doctor is going to be a testcypionate, and it's going to have a half-life of about 15 days or so.
All right.
So that means, every 15 days, your levels go down in half, right? So, you take it, your levels are going to go up, and in about 15 days, they're going to be down. You take it. So typically, you're going to take it a little more frequent to keep your levels normal.
How long does it take to kick in?
Typically about 2 weeks.
Okay, so it takes 2 weeks to
really, to start to notice anything. And don't think you're going to take testosterone and just all of a sudden blow up and feel huge and feel strong. You'll start to feel some effects. Usually what it is when you do your first cycle, you notice a couple weeks into it, you're like, shit, 80 pounds was heavy a couple of weeks ago. I can only do 5. I did 8 pretty easy, You start feeling those strength gains. And that all depends on what you're taking too, which we're going to get into several different types of steroids, and a little bit about what they do. But so for testosterone, you got enanthate, cypionate. Enanthate and cypionate, in my opinion, are one and the same. Their half-lives are within a day or so. They're both long-acting. Probably the most common used. Those are kind of the baseline. There's a testpropionate, which is a faster, shorter ester. So it's more about a 2-day half-life. So you're gonna.
So it kicks in faster.
It kicks in faster and leaves faster. Absolutely. So it's something you're gonna have to take more frequent injections. Okay.
Useful early, I assume.
Yeah, it's good. You can take this to kind of kickstart your cycle.
Okay.
So you take some prop along with some enanthate, and then you can feel the effects faster. And once the enanthate kicks in, taper off your prop. Or a lot of people like to use prop towards the end of their prep, like bodybuilding contest prep, because they feel like they can control the water a little better. Because with testosterone, you're going to get some water retention. And with the prop, it's in and out of your system faster, so they feel like you get a little less water retention. My experience, I don't really notice that. I don't mess around with prop too much, but everybody has their own opinion. I can control the water, like when it's the week of the show, we can get the water off. Like I'm not too worried about water retention from testosterone.
Okay.
There's also blends like Sustanon. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. I'm sure some have, and it has a combination of different ester testosterones in it. So there's like an enanthate, cypionate, propionate, different. Well, usually there's 4 or 5 different ones that are in there, and they all kind of break down at different rates. So you kind of get, your fast-acting testosterone that hits you pretty quick, and then some slower ones. I'm not a big fan of that. I prefer to take something where I know what the half-life is of the whole thing, and I can kind of control it a little better. So normal doses for like a TRT, you go to the doctor, you're going to be taking 100, 150 milligrams a week, maybe 200 a week. Typically for bodybuilding, beginner cycle, you're going to go at 400-600 milligrams a week. You really want to push it. Some people take 1,000 milligrams a week of testosterone. I wouldn't start there by any means. Less is more.
So what? Let me interrupt you here. What we talked about? What happens when you have too much testosterone in your system that your body's not using?
Well, here's the deal with testosterone. It's going to convert to estrogen. Okay. So you take testosterone, a portion of, even at a low dose, a portion of that's going to convert into estrogen. Your body needs estrogen, but it has plenty on its own. You start taking testosterone, your estrogen levels are going to raise up. There's negative side effects to estrogen. Water retention, gynecomastia, which is breast tissue. So you got the guys with the man boobs.
It doesn't go away afterwards either.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. You end up having to get surgery. There's ways to combat that. If you're taking testosterone, you should be taking an anti-estrogen.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, there's different types. Like there's a Arimidex or an anastrozole, tamoxifen, aromacin, several different kinds. They work differently depending on, what your stack is and what all you're taking together. You're going to need different anti-estrogens. And we can get into that. We can even do an anti-estrogen video. That'd probably be a good idea. But just know that if you take testosterone, your estrogen levels are going to raise too, and you don't want that. You want to keep your estrogen suppressed. So if you're taking test, you should be taking anti-estrogen.
So before we get into the other kinds of steroids, you said there was a rating, and explain that to me. Explain
there's anabolic and androgenic rating. Androgenic means male characteristics. So some of these steroids are going to give you these side effects of male characteristics, like more facial hair or body hair. Sometimes it's male pattern baldness. For women, it can be like a deepening of the voice. It'll affect your vocal cords.
I've seen it.
Clitoral enlargement. You can get some growth where you don't want it to be, women. So it's definitely important for women to know, the side effects for some of these. And if it's an androgenic steroid, you definitely want to avoid it. Androgens are good for, aggression, for building muscle, but there's also a lot of side effects with it. Another thing with almost all these that we're going to list today, cholesterol, cardiovascular health, a lot of them are going to suppress the good cholesterol, and it's going to raise the bad cholesterol. So that's something you need to keep an eye on. And then I'm going to get into each one, whether you're going to retain water, and then the estrogen and things like that. But testosterone, that's your base.
Cool.
And as far as the rating, everything's it's compared to testosterone. So on the anabolic rating, it has a rating of 100 for testosterone. The androgenic rating is 100.
Okay.
So everything's compared to that. So if it's less than 100, then it's less potent than testosterone anabolically or androgenically.
Okay.
So the second one we want to get into, it's probably pretty common. A lot of you people have probably heard of it, DECA.
I heard of that one for sure.
Decadarabone.
Good for the joints.
Nandrolone decanate. Yeah, it is good for the joints. Kind of lubricates the joints, I guess.
Okay.
This is it's a 19-norandrostenedione derivative. Back in the day, 19-nor, androstenedione and 19-norandrostenedione was a big deal. There was actually supplements you could get at GNC that had this stuff in it, and I took a little bit when I was about, I think I was 18 or 19. I was like, holy crap. I got strong really fast.
Back in the Canseco era.
Basically, yeah, that was Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco.
Yeah.
They ended up banning all this stuff, pulling it off the market. You were basically taking steroids.
Okay.
But it's a 19-nor. It's not high on the high estrogenic, so you're not going to have much issues with estrogen, but it still can lead to some gyno issues. There's the issue with prolactin, and there's some things you can take for that. There's stuff called cabergoline. You can take that, and it'll help combat the prolactin. That's a genetic thing. A lot of times, I've known people to take DECA, and we'll get into it later, but Trenbolone's the same way. It's a 19-nor as well, and has the same similar side effects. But some people take it and immediately they start to get nipple sensitivity and flare-ups, puffiness there. If you have that, you need to do something right away, address it. And Caber is probably the first step in that. Taking an anti-estrogen isn't going to help with that.
Okay, wow.
So if you're taking, say I'm getting my testosterone, I'm taking a Arimidex with it to battle that estrogen. Well, that Arimidex isn't going to do anything about your prolactin. So.
Okay.
It's about a 6-day half-life, so it's not too fast. It's something you want to take once a week at a minimum. You get some water retention on DECA. I'm not big on it being a staple. Like some people like it for bulking. I prefer something else I'll get to next, but I do like to add DECA in just a little bit, low dose, just for, like we talked about, your joints.
Okay.
There is another type. There's nandrolone phenylpropionate, NPP.
Okay.
And it's a faster acting DECA. So it's like DECA, that would be like a test propionate. So it's faster acting. You'd have to take injections a little more frequently.
Right.
But you get all the good stuff from the joint and the good aspects of DECA without as much water retention. Okay. So that's an option for people, but you just have to take shots more frequently. Next one I'd like to talk about is equipoise. Equine means horses, right? That's where this got its name. It was originally made for racehorses. It still is. It's still used. This is a good steroid. It's good in conjunction with testosterone. A lot of bodybuilders use it for bulking. You're not going to get a lot of water retention. You're going to get good strength gains. A little longer half-life, so it's going to be good. About the same as like your testosterone and propionate. So that's why I think people like to take it. You can time your shots the same. So if you're taking shots every 4 or 5 days, their levels are going to stay the same. It's less estrogenic than a lot of them, less androgenic, which is good. That's why you're not going to get the water retention. So equipoise that would be my choice over DECA. What I would do is, a beginner stack would be testosterone. When I add something else to it, throw a little equipoise.
Strength.
Yeah.
Think strength with that one.
It's something you don't want to. You're going to want to take it for a decent time too. It's in your system for a while. That's another thing to consider about equipoise. It's going to be in your system easily for about 6 weeks.
Wow.
They can do. I don't know which testing it would be, whether it's like hair follicle or nail or whatever, but it can stay in your system for 2 years.
Wow.
So if you're test for this,
natural and yeah. So if you go to a natural contest and they test, they'll find it. Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's a urine test, which is what a lot of them are. All right, now Trenbolone. We mentioned this a while ago. This is this is the big bad boy right here. This is very effective. It's a little more harsh. It's not something you want to take for a long period of time.
Harsh as in liver damage?
Harsh as in everything.
Okay.
It has some definite side effects with it. There's a lot of benefits to it. Like you're going to get strength gains. It's very low estrogen because it's a 19-nor as well, just like the DECA. But you're not going to get water retention. You're going to get really good strength gains. If you're already lean, it's going to harden you up. You're going to get more vascular. Bodybuilders are going to use this towards the end of their prep to harden them up. Also gives you, the strength gains and able to push whenever you're dieted down. There's 2 different esters on this. There's an acetate and an anthate. Acetate is what's more commonly used for tren. It's something you're going to have to take at least every other day to keep it in your system. And anthate is a little longer half-life. It's something you can get away with less frequent shots. But so the acetate, in and out of your system, that's what you want to keep the water retention down and those hardening effects.
Speaking of hardness, isn't there another one we talked about that was Masteron?
Masteron, yes, Masteron.
Okay. That one I've heard a lot about.
Masteron?
Yeah.
It's a dihydrotestosterone. It's a good one. It's actually the only steroid that is an anti-estrogen. It works as an anti-estrogen.
Okay.
So you're not going to get any estrogen effects from it, so there's no reason to take an anti-estrogen with it. The problem is you're going to be taking it with testosterone. So obviously you'll take the anti-estrogen to battle the testosterone side effects. It's a good hardener. It's not going to be great for strength, so you're not going to see a lot of powerlifters taking this. you're gonna get good, hardness from it. If you're already lean, just like the trin, it's gonna make you.
So that's a show prep.
Yeah.
Bodybuilder show prep.
Yeah,
okay.
Especially the pro. There's an anthate and propionate for this. Propionate's the faster acting, and that's typically what's taken. You're gonna take. And those are probably the two staples right there in show prep. Everybody takes testosterone, but masteron and trenbolone.
Okay.
Those are the two hardeners that a lot of bodybuilders take to harden up and get really lean for a show. One more. It's a lot more mild, especially for an injectable. It's actually an injectable and an oral. It's primobolan. This is
never heard of that.
Known as probably the safest injectable out there. It's really low side effects. You're not going to get much androgenic effects. So some people will say this is one that women could get away with taking at a low dose.
So low androgenic effects.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're not going to get that body hair and
jawline, lowered voice.
Yeah.
High.
Yeah, you don't want that. But it's you're going to get good slow quality gains over it. Through experience, I notice like when I'm dieting, if I'm taking primobolan in a prep, notice a little more fullness. There's no science behind that at all. Like it's just a personal self hack. I like it during prep. You're not going to get water retention, so that's good whenever you're prepping, and it's just enough to give you that extra edge, I guess. And it's safe. It's a really good safe one without side effects.
So speaking of orals, there's another class, and let me talk about the science there. So I don't do steroids, but if I did, I would have to choose the injectables over the orals, and people think the orals are safer, but they're not. That's the reason. I'm knowing the science behind them. They're processed twice through the body, which means they have a double whammy on the liver, and you may not want to inject through with a needle, but if I were you and you want to do steroids, I would just get over it because the orals have a worse effect. I think it's a mindset with people, though.
Yeah.
So
some people are scared of needles and they don't want to do that, so they go the oral route.
And they feel like they're not doing steroids.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as taboo, but I mean, it is actually. It's more harsh on the body because it's all orals are liver toxic.
Very much so.
Some are worse than others, and we'll talk about that. First one we're going to talk about is Anavar. That's another one that it's a little more acceptable for females to take. You're not going to get those side effects. A low dose, women would typically take anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 15 milligrams a day. Men are going to take more like 50 up to 80 milligrams a day.
Okay.
It's used a lot in prep. It's not a good strength oral steroid, but it's good for getting lean. It's actually, as far as I know, the only steroid that can actually cause lipolysis, fat burning. So it is actually a fat burner. So you're going to get some good clean gains from it. You're not going to get water retention. It's a little more safe for women. Overall, probably your safest, other than primobolan, your safest, cleanest oral.
Okay.
Another one, which I've heard people say that and push women to take this one, which I totally disagree with, is Winstrol.
Okay.
Winstrol is more of a cutting and performance steroid. You're not going to get strength gains necessarily, but you can get better performance out of it. Great for leaning out, but you do get some of those side effects like the balding, the male pattern baldness, which I don't know. As a woman, I would think that's not something you're going for. But for whatever reason in this industry, some women go there, and some coaches go there with their women. But I strongly urge you not to.
Okay.
But that's another cutting oral steroid, and then a couple for bulking. These two, they work. They're similar. Some people prefer one over the other. D-ball, Dianabol. You're going to get some water retention. It's going to have a high estrogen effect, so there's a risk for gyno on it. Blood pressure, but strength gains are great. It's the benefit of orals is they're in your system quick. You feel the effects quick.
Okay.
So you start taking D-ball. Couple of days, you've already put on 5 pounds. It's water weight. You're retaining water, but you're getting strong. You notice the effects. Obviously, you're stronger. You're pushing more weight. You're building more muscle, right?
Okay.
So D-ball is a big one for off-season or powerlifters. Even more common for powerlifters, I think it's Anadrol. A-bombs, A50s, a couple of names for it. In my opinion, it's like D-ball's big brother.
Okay.
It's typically you can run dosage about the same. D-ball 50, 60 milligrams. Some people push it up to 100 or more. Anadrol is completely effective with 50 milligrams.
Okay.
I know people that do 100 or more. You're going to get high blood pressure with Anadrol. We're very liver toxic. It's not something you want to take for a long period of time.
Right. But it boosts strength.
It boosts strength quick. You're going to notice most of your strength in the first 2-3 weeks, and then it kind of tapers off. You'll keep that strength as you're taking it, but you're not going to keep getting stronger.
Okay.
But at the end of a powerlifting prep, you're take some Anadrol, you're going to get stronger.
For the peak.
Yeah, I do it the last 5-6 weeks. I wouldn't do it any longer than that, just to save the liver. And I wouldn't do any more than 50. Big guys that really want to push it 100. One issue with Anadrol is if you take too much, it can suppress your appetite.
Okay.
So if you need to eat, a bodybuilder off season trying to grow, it could be counterproductive. If you're going too high in your dosage, taking too much and you can't eat, it's going to be counterproductive.
Drink protein shakes.
Yeah. But those are a lot of the common ones.
There's a lot more out there.
Man, there's so much.
We looked at a list. I was like, whoa.
We can't touch on all of them. But these are a lot of the basics and just some basic information about them. We're going to do a part 2 and talk about some of the effects, positive and negatives. Today, we gave you some information on specific steroids.
Yep.
And the positive is they work.
Yeah.
They build muscle.
I've seen
steroids, you will build muscle.
I try to out-train people, and there's a point in time when I see when they're growing and I know what they're doing, and I'm like, you can't out-train steroids. You cannot. It is not possible. Yeah. Don't try. You won't be able to. Yeah. So
if you're going to do it and you're going to take the risk, you might as well train hard.
And you might as well have learned how to train right beforehand. Don't just be lazy and take them because it's a shortcut. Train hard, train right, and then if you want to do that, maximize your gains.
All right, next week, stay tuned, follow up with us. We're going to do the follow-up on this, which we're going to talk about some of the science behind it, give some more information, and some of the positives and negatives, the good, the bad, and the ugly of steroids.
Right.
So,
right.
If you guys want to know more, put comments down. If there's specific steroids you want to know about, let us know. We'll talk about them more. If any of the ones we brought up today, if you have questions about them, ask, and we'll do our best to answer.
Yeah, I learned a lot. All right.
See you next week.
And don't forget rule number 1.